Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video on the channel. So today's video is going to be another life story time for you guys, and in this life story time, it's about the time where damn near everyone in my art class was drunk. Now this story time is going to be kind of similar to one of my last story times that I told, except the teacher's not involved and I'm not involved. But it's still a pretty funny story. I don't know how long this story time is going to turn out to be. This one is probably going to be a bit of a shorter one. Not the most eventful thing to have ever happened to me in life, but it still is a funny encounter that I've had back in high school. One more thing before we hop right into this story time. Thank you all so much who checked out my last story time. Even if you just watched the first couple minutes of it, it still meant a lot to see that video perform as well as it did. The amount of subscribers that one video has gotten me, I've never gotten that much views in a long time, and the support on that video was just honestly incredible. I said in the comments below, if I were to get 20 likes on that video, in my new video, which is this one, I would be featuring the picture that was taped up in the bathroom during that story time that got me into that much trouble. You guys did it. You got 20 likes on the video, and I was very happy to see that, and as a reward, here you go. And without further ado, guys, let's hop right into the story time. So this story time takes place once again in the year 2019. Yeah, this one was in 2019. This day at school was already one of the more stranger kind of days because everyone was just off. Even people who I didn't know, but like people who I would see around the school, it's like just everything about them was just off. And obviously they weren't sober. It's like if you were around their age or my age at the time, you could put two and two together and realize they ain't sober. For some reason, the adults at the high school, they just couldn't tell. It was real hard for them to identify when people were not sober. It's like they should have gotten better stuff for that case because, dude, oh my god, this was crazy. I remember just walking down this fucking highway, getting to different places to go to lunch on this day, and everyone was just acting weird. And then towards the end of lunch, I found out why. Somebody had a party the weekend before, and they had a lot of leftover bottles from the party, and they decided, fuck it, we'll just distribute it around the school to other students and shit, why not? And that's exactly what those people did. They had a shit ton of bottles left, and they just brought them to school. They were putting them in like water bottles, Polar Pop cups from like gas stations and shit, like hiding any way to show the fact that they were not drunk, pretty much. I don't know if I said that right, that probably just came out really weird. Anyways, people were really drunk on this day, and very noticeably drunk. Like, the fact that they weren't called out by teachers on this day, I think is just nothing short of a miracle for them. It's like, they got real fucking lucky. They were careless with all the shit that they were doing. Anyways, we're gonna fast forward to my art class. Before I was in my art class, is like even in my normal classes, I would still see people acting strange, just very obviously drunk, keeping to themselves in the back of the class. But in art class, that was a completely different story. I remember the way how the art class was set up, there was just like a bunch of tables sat out in like a square. So it's like people were kind of like sitting in like a little square motion right in the middle of the classroom and shit. And I was sitting next to two of my buddies. One of them was in my alternative class in one of the story times that I talked to you about. He is one of the many people who was baked with me on this day. He was sitting next to me in class, and the other student, or not the other student, the other friend that I mentioned in my story time before, the one who has the vape, the one when she walks up, we all get excited because we now have nicotine. I mentioned her in my last story time. I also sat next to her in this art class as well. She began to take note of the behavior in this classroom, and she started kind of asking, it's like, yo, do you know why everyone's acting strange like this? And one of our other buddies, I've never really hung out with him too much. We've just kind of like existed alongside each other, never really been friends, never really been enemies, never really liked each other, never really disliked each other, just kind of one of those relationships. Never had beef, we were fine with existing alongside each other and alongside this classroom as well. He kind of overhears my friend asking this question, and he walks up to her and says, "Yo, I have some Fireball if that's what you were interested in." And then she was all like, "Wait, what? You have Fireball? Can I have some?" And he was all like, "Yeah, I don't mind. It's like I got a big ass Polar Pop cup full of one in my locker right now." In your locker? It's like you brought this with you in class, like you didn't even care to finish it during lunch. You were just holding on to it for like the entire day. Okay, I guess. And he kind of gets up and says, "All right, let's go to my locker real quick." And me and my other friend, we'll just call him Before Vietnam Armando. That will work. We'll call him Before Vietnam Armando. Before Vietnam Armando and me, we were sitting down, and my other friend, she gets up and walks with the other dude over to his locker, and I watch all of this go down. He grabs the Polar Pop from his locker, hands it to my friend. She takes a fat fucking sip of this too. I wouldn't say a gulp, but a pretty decent sip. And from what I could remember, she wasn't the heaviest weight when it came to alcohol. The smallest bit could actually do quite a bit to her as well, if I remember that correctly. And yeah, let's just say, immediately after taking that sip, she was already feeling tipsy. It's like she was already feeling the effects of the alcohol. She stumbles, literally stumbles back to her seat. I don't know how in the hell our teacher didn't spot this or how she noticed it, but it was so clearly obvious that everyone in this class was not sober. And then after when I saw that, and then after when I saw her stumble, I took a look around the class. And unlike the class periods that I had before this, where I would see a couple people, this time around, like, I swear, it was the entire fucking art class. All of them were loud. All of them were obnoxious. Every single last one of them were clearly not sober, and I still, to this day, cannot fucking process how our art teacher did not manage to notice something was wrong here. Like, it was clear everyone was not in the right mindset to be doing their fucking artwork. And this other girl who I was sitting next to at the time, me and her kind of had feelings for each other. We were talking, we were getting along really well, and she was doing this weird shit. It's like, we had this one art project where we had to do this color palette things, where we had to take certain colors and mix them together and put them on a color wheel. If you guys know art, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about here. But she was just taking every single color and just hysterically mixing them all together at the speed of light, just laughing while doing it as well. And I look over to her and I ask her, like, "Are you okay?" And she just continues laughing and says no over and over again while repeatedly just mixing the paint in together. And I honestly thought like she was not okay at all. And I just kept asking her, it's like, "You keep saying no, but you're laughing." It's like, "What's wrong?" And she just finally comes clean and says it. She just says, "I'm drunk." It's like, "I drank too much during lunch." And she says this loud as fuck. And again, I don't know how our damn art teacher didn't pick this up. Like, was she aware of this and just didn't care? Did she just know that every single student in her class was drunk? And since every single student was drunk, there was just nothing she could do about it? It's like, I was confused. I didn't know what the hell was going on here. And me and Before Vietnam Armando, we started a game up. We were like, all right, by the end of this class period, let's spot out all the people who we could find who are drunk. And it was not a hard challenge. It's like neither of us won. It's like every other minute when we would look up from our art project, we would just see someone doing something really fucking weird, and it was just clear that they were drunk. And because of this, because of the fact that we weren't focusing on our work and spotting out the people who were getting drunk, somehow, our art teacher notices this. Also, I apologize if I've been saying film teacher throughout this. I had a film teacher more than I've had an art teacher, so if I've been saying film teacher, that's why. But my art teacher, she notices this. She notices when me and Before Vietnam Armando were laughing about this. She notices that for some reason and kicks us out into the hallway. She says, "You guys are being obnoxious. You're not doing your work. Go sit out in the hallway." And you know what? I couldn't complain. I really couldn't. I honestly was wanting to get out of that class because it just fucking reeked like alcohol. So like, I don't know how our teacher was not aware of the fact that everyone was drunk. But anyways, guys, if there's a moral to the story, if people are drunk in your art class, don't be pointing them out and laughing because you could be the one to get in trouble somehow, some way. That's not a real moral. I don't know what the moral to the story is. Probably just don't get drunk and go to school. And yeah, this one was probably a shorter story time than some of my more future ones are going to be. But I just kind of wanted to get a quick video out for you guys today and say thank you so much for the support on my last video. If you guys did happen to like this one, and if you haven't seen my last one, go check out my last one. It did really well, and I'm hoping this one will perform as good as my last one did. And without further ado, guys, I'll see you all for the next one. Peace out.